Hey everyone, and welcome back to another fanfiction. In Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine manipulates Anakin to the dark side, turning him against his family at the Jedi Temple and his wife, Padme Amidala. Skywalker had the potential to become the best Sith apprentice in history due to his high midichlorian count, but Anakin wasn't innately evil. He became evil, all due to Palpatine's manipulations. Unlike, say, Mace Windu, who always had an undercurrent of the dark side and had to keep it in check. So what if Palpatine saw this undercurrent as an opportunity and believed Windu would be both easier to turn evil while also possessing an extremely high level of power? Hey guys, make sure to check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, for the best NeoPixel sabers on the market. We have a bunch of perfect replicas and other insane Padawan sabers for sale. Check them out on our website, first link in the description below, and grab your own one today. Let's start the story when Anakin is still in his first year of training at the Jedi Temple. Chancellor Palpatine is sent on a diplomatic mission to Nar Shaddaa, where he has meetings with some of the most highly recognized smugglers of the galaxy. Nar Shaddaa is a hive to the scum and villainy of the galaxy, and thus, Master Windu is sent as a bodyguard to protect the Chancellor. During this mission, Windu is forced to exemplify his strength, having to fight off pirates and smugglers who attempt to murder the Chancellor for sport. Palpatine watched from the sideline as Mace's purple blade hummed to life, and he channeled the dark side in his attacks. This impressed Palpatine a lot, having never considered Windu as a possible apprentice, but maybe he was wrong. Mace has an undercurrent of darkness, and although he keeps himself in check, perhaps all he needs is a push, and he will finally cross that line forever. Following this successful mission, Palpatine would request to the Jedi Council that Windu be reassigned again as his protector. At this point in the Chancellor's leadership, the Council had nothing but admiration and kind words to say about Palpatine. He recently took office a year earlier and so far has been the most effective Chancellor in the last 5 decades. The Chancellor was away from Coruscant a lot, meeting with different people and carrying out his duties as the Supreme Chancellor. This kept Windu busy, but also formed a connection between the two, where they grew to respect one another. Across these missions, Palpatine would plant seeds of the dark side, speaking to Windu about how he channels anger in his fighting, but questioning what would happen if he just let go, and allowed his emotions to run rampant. Palpatine showed Windu that the Jedi are at fault for the state of the galaxy, that it is because of their inability to leave their precious Jedi temple, that crime, slavery, and villainy persists in the Outer Rim. Over the course of a few months, Palpatine was able to get through to Windu. One night, whilst on Megiddo, Palpatine would reveal that he is a Sith Lord, and ask the Jedi Master to join him. Whilst difficult to imagine and far-fetched, like my What If Yoda Turned to the Dark Side video, for the sake of this fanfiction, let's say that Windu agrees to join him. This meant that when they were away on diplomatic political missions, Palpatine would train Windu in secret. He would teach him all about the dark side, and how instead of channeling it for the light, he can fixate the emotions into power. He became powerful very quickly. It was like he'd already been trained as a Sith, and Palpatine's job was easy, simply guiding him. Windu was taught to wield Sith lightning, Force choke, and most importantly, Force clouding, which Palpatine taught him immediately so that he could shield his dark side nature so that the Jedi can't sense him. This is what allowed Palpatine to be right under the Jedi's noses for over a decade, and none of them could sense his connection to the Force or dark side. Mace Windu remains in the Order as second in command and acts like nothing has happened, becoming somewhat of a mole in their ranks. He continued to go on missions with Palpatine, and this was where his skills and powers were developing, growing him into an extremely strong and fearful Jedi. After Palpatine recognizes that Windu is going to be astronomically powerful, he stops his manipulations of Anakin, believing that the task is frivolous when he has Mace on his side. The storyline then follows suit. Anakin is trained by Obi-Wan and develops his powers as the Chosen One. By the time he is 19 years old, His power is easily greater than the other Padawans his age. What's important to note is that now at the end of Anakin's teenage years, he doesn't have as strong an undercurrent of the dark side as in the original timeline. I truly believe that without Palpatine pulling the strings and taking the boy on evenings to the lower levels of Coruscant to manipulate him, that Obi-Wan would be able to heal Anakin's past and make him move on from being a slave and from missing his mother. I think that's an important point that people always forget when they say that Obi-Wan was a bad teacher, that Kenobi was teaching someone who was also getting manipulated without his knowledge the entire time. If Palpatine wasn't in Anakin's life, Kenobi would have been an absolutely fine teacher. The Clone Wars would eventually begin and the galaxy is thrusted into chaos. Palpatine will use Count Dooku as the leader of the Separatist army. In Dooku's mind, he was the Sith apprentice. He had no idea about Windu, no one did, and it was too risky in case Dooku or anyone else who knew got captured. In a way, Windu became another type of Order 66, a secret weapon to use against the Jedi. Nevertheless, the war raged on, and the damage to the galaxy was very similar. Worlds were pillaged by the droids, and famine, depression, and economic collapse happened everywhere. The only people who prospered were the upper class on Coruscant, who while the entire galaxy suffered, they ate fine dining and held banquets every week. As per Palpatine's orders, Mace Windu became a very successful Jedi general in the Clone Wars. When he was in battle, he would fight his hardest against the droid army, and he won a lot of battles. He didn't understand why he had to hold back, but he trusted his master. In Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine is captured and placed aboard the Invisible Hand. In this story, Windu would volunteer to be the Jedi to go and rescue him. This made sense and no one batted an eye, since Windu had been Palpatine's Jedi protector since he became the Chancellor. Therefore, whilst this happens, Anakin is sent to Mandalore with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. Arriving, the siege of Mandalore begins and they fight Maul. It was a fierce battle, but together they easily defeat him. Anakin's skill with a lightsaber and Ahsoka's speed and Obi-Wan's tactical mind combined to break Maul's defenses. The Mandalorian warrior was no match for their power, and once subdued, they brought Maul back to Coruscant, intending to question him about the Sith. As for Windu, he arrived on the Separatist dreadnought and fights his way to Palpatine's position. Just like in Revenge of the Sith, Dooku appears. Originally, Dooku was intended to draw the dark side out of Anakin, but this time, Palpatine had engineered this conflict to truly see which one of his apprentices was more powerful. The duel raged with blinding speed, Mace Windu and Count Dooku exchanging powerful, precise strikes. Dooku's saber flashed in the air, fluid and calculated, but Windu's strikes came faster, fueled by a growing dark side within him. Blow for blow, they fought, each powerful in their own right, but it was clear that Windu's power was shifting, becoming more brutal, more raw. As the fight progressed, Dooku sensed it. Windu's control was slipping, replaced by pure, unrestrained fury. His strikes became wild, filled with a sinister energy, and Dooku's focus wavered as he realized that Windu had fully embraced the dark side. In an instant, Windu surged forward, his dark power erupting like a storm. He unleashed a barrage of crackling force lightning, striking Dooku with such force that the Sith Lord was thrown to the ground, disarmed and defenseless. Palpatine laughed and congratulated Windu. Dooku was shocked and didn't know what was happening. Palpatine tells Dooku that Windu has been a secret apprentice for almost a decade now, that he was always only a pawn, a means to an end. Sidious took great satisfaction in letting Dooku's last thought be that his life was meaningless, and with that, Mace Windu killed him. Back home at the Jedi Temple, Windu was celebrated for his efforts. He had killed the Separatist leader, and now the Republic was arguably winning the Clone Wars. When Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka and Maul are brought back to Coruscant, Maul is subjected to questioning by the Jedi Council. Kenobi didn't participate, as within the same day, he was heading back to the field to fight General Grievous on Utapau. The Council interrogates Maul to learn who the Sith Lord truly is. This is arguably the last thing they need to discover in order to win the war. The interrogation was long and brutal, stretching for hours as the Jedi pushed Maul harder than ever before. They didn't hold back, using every technique they could think of to break him down, but the Zabrak Sith Lord was stubborn, revealing little as he glared at them from the interrogation chair. Windu's presence was cold and commanding, while Yoda's quiet patience seemed to only frustrate Maul even more. The council had tried everything from physical pressure to psychological tactics, but Maul remained tight-lipped, only sneering at them. Yet, as the hours passed and the exhaustion creeped into the Jedi ranks, they finally wore him down. With a wicked grin, Maul finally spoke, his voice low and dripping with malice, revealing the truth. Palpatine was the Sith Lord they had been hunting for. The council froze, disbelief washed over them. Windu's eyes narrowed, his surprise barely masked as he exchanged a look with the others. Together, Windu, Yoda, Anakin, Kit Fisto, Sazitin, and Aegon Kolar go to Palpatine's office. The Jedi entered the office, their lightsabers glowing brightly as they surrounded Palpatine, who at first seemed surprised by their presence. Yoda stepped forward as he declared Palpatine under arrest. The Chancellor's face darkened, his usual calm vanished as he straightened his seat, his eyes cold and calculating. The Jedi edged closer, their sabers raised cautiously, ready for anything. Just as they moved to take him into custody, Windu finally revealed that he had turned to the dark side by igniting his blade and piercing Yoda's back in one swift motion. The small Jedi Master fell lifelessly to the floor, and the room erupted in chaos. Shocked and enraged, the other Jedi screamed at Windu, commanding to know what he has done. Sidious smiled, and Windu attacked, meeting their sabers with furious sparks. Palpatine leapt to his apprentice's side, a crimson blade springing to life as he joined the battle. The two Sith fought with overwhelming power, their attacks relentless and fueled by the dark side. Fisto, Tin, and Kolar stood no chance against their combined strength, each falling in quick succession under the barrage of strikes. Windu's ferocity and Palpatine's precision were too much, their movements a blur of red and purple light, cutting through the Jedi like a storm. Anakin fought desperately, his blade meeting Palpatine's in a clash that rattled the room, but the Sith Lord's speed and skill forced him back. Realizing the hopelessness of the fight, Anakin broke away, darting towards the window. With a burst of force, he shattered the glass and leapt into the chaos of the city below, just like an Attack of the Clones. Anakin landed at the temple and rushed to the communications center, his hands trembling as he sent a message across the Jedi Order's private holonet, warning them that Windu had turned to the dark side and Palpatine was the Sith Lord they had been searching for. The news spread quickly, shocking Jedi across the galaxy. But before they could fully comprehend the betrayal, the clones turned on them, executing Order 66. On Coruscant, the chaos began as Windu and Palpatine marched towards the Jedi Temple, leading a battalion of clones. The temple's defenders rallied quickly, with Anakin, Ahsoka, and Jedi Battlemaster Sin Drellic taking charge. The temple's gates became a battleground, blue and green blades clashing against the endless waves of clones, and blaster fire lighting up the night. Ahsoka moved gracefully, deflecting bolts and cutting down troopers, while Sin Drellic stood as a beacon of strength, leading the younger Jedi with precision and skill. Anakin fought with raw determination, his blade a blur as he battled against the clones and the looming threat of the Sith. But when Windu and Palpatine entered the fray, the tide of the battle shifted. Windu was fueled by the dark side, and he fought with an unmatched power, his strikes fast and brutal, cutting through Jedi who dared to stand in his way. Palpatine moved with deadly precision, his red saber slashing and twirling as he sent Jedi after Jedi to their end. Even the best efforts of the temple defenders could not hold back the combined might of the Sith and the overwhelming numbers of the clones. The halls of the temple became a scene of destruction, with Jedi falling one by one despite their bravery, but it wasn't enough. Anakin, Ahsoka, and Sin Drellic, along with all other Jedi across the galaxy, lost their lives. The dark side had won. Sidious and now his official apprentice, Mace Windu, or now dubbed Darth Noctis. Palpatine addressed the Senate as he declared the Jedi traitors who attempted a coup against the Republic. He praised Windu as the only Jedi who had protected him, the only one who had remained loyal. With the Senate's support, Palpatine declared the Republic reformed into the Galactic Empire, ensuring peace and order under his rule forever. 5 years later, the Empire's power stretched across the galaxy, its fleets vast and unstoppable, its armies crushing all opposition. The Sith ruled with an iron grip, their cruelty felt on every planet, and hope seemed lost. Palpatine abolished the Senate, declaring it no longer needed, and with their rule unchallenged, he invited Noctis to celebrate their successes. In his private chamber, Palpatine laughed and reveled, drinking glass after glass as Noctis served him. Windu remained calm, watching his master indulge himself until Palpatine slumped into his chair, drunk and vulnerable. Seizing this chance, Darth Noctis ignited his crimson blade, his eyes filled with fury and hatred as he approached his master. Palpatine was sluggish and disorientated, and he barely managed to summon his lightsaber before Windu struck. The fight was brief but intense, and Palpatine attempted to defend himself, but his drunken state left him clumsy and slow. Windu unleashed the full power of the dark side, and his strikes were precise and filled with years of resentment and ambition. Palpatine tried to counter, summoning lightning in a last-ditch effort, but Windu deflected it with ease, his mastery of the Force far surpassing his master's weakened state. With a final strike, Windu's blade pierced Palpatine's chest, and the Sith Lord crumpled to the floor, struggling for breath. Windu stood over his body, his breath steadying, and a dark smile forming on his face. "You were always a pawn in my game, a means to an end, a means for me to gain power and rise above the Jedi, the Senate, everyone." Palpatine watched in fear as his life force left his body, and he perished. At last, Windu was the master of the Sith, and the galaxy was his. The Empire would enter a new era, one of pain and suffering, under Darth Noctis' rule, an age of darkness that would stretch across generations.
Ignite your imagination with fantasy sabers.
Thank you all for watching today's video. Please check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, where you can get your very own NeoPixel saber for an affordable price and fulfill your childhood dreams of becoming a Jedi or Sith. Also check out our membership platform to be able to watch our videos early, and may the Force be with you.